Hello, Mech Warriors. It's a lovely day outside, and I applaud you for staying indoors at your computer. What's the sun ever done for you anyway? In this video, we're going to look at choosing a mech. So this is for people that have finished the tutorials, which if you've not done, you're going to want to do. I spent about 20 minutes doing them the other day, and it paid out around 5 million C-bills, so it was not a bad payday. But once you finish that, especially as a new player, you're going to be playing your trial mechs. And really, after your first 25 games, you have your cadet bonus. And those first 25, they pay out a substantial amount. So you add that plus the tutorial payout, and you're sitting pretty well for choosing your first mech to actually own. Now, choosing that mech is going to be really important because if you don't have a premium account, the C-bill grind can be a little lengthy, especially if you go after newer mechs, or even the assault mechs tend to be more expensive. So really choosing off the get-go is really important. So we're going to have a quick look at what you need to know when choosing a mech, and that way you don't waste your money, because choosing the wrong mech, especially at the early on, can really hamper the fun you're going to have in the game and can actually keep you from enjoying the game itself. Okay, so let's actually take a look at a mech, and for sake of the argument here, we're going to say that you, the pilot, have decided on a medium mech. Maybe you've played some of the trial mechs and the mediums just felt the best, and so you've decided that that's really the weight class that's really your style, that's really your mode. Now, as you see, currently there are quite a few medium mechs to choose from. We will be going over the Inner Sphere mechs primarily, just because that's what I prefer. Clanners are dirty barbarians and savages who wants their stuff. So a couple of things you want to keep in mind, and we're going to kind of take a look here at the Hunchback. It's a fairly standard medium mech. There's nothing fancy about it, but something you're going to want to notice, you'll hover over it, you'll see this tab pops up, and this tab is very important. You'll see that on this tab there's a lot of information, and this is actually really important. It gives you an idea of really what the mech can do in terms of not only its loadout but its maneuverability. So we're going to go over this real quick, and this will help you choose the right mech for what you want to do. So if you look at the top, you have hard points, upgrades, and it kind of gives you its base speed and engine and so forth. Now your hard points are exactly what they sound like. That is letting you know how many of a certain weapon type it can fit. So for the Hunchback 4G, you can see it has 3 ballistic and 3 energy. What it doesn't tell you on here is where those slots are. So it's a little unfortunate, because that placement does matter. However, we can look at it, we can see, okay, laser there, laser there, laser there, and that's an AC-20 in the shoulder. So 3 lasers, 1 in each arm, 1 in the head. But you're not always going to know where those are, so that's something you may want to look up on the internet as far as exactly where those actual particular slots are located. But you'll see it does not have any missile capabilities. It only is able to field 1 anti-missile system and no CM. So obviously you're not going to be countering anything of that nature. Its upgrades, you've got structure standard, heat seek standard, armor type standard. No, Artemis is not applicable because, again, it doesn't use any missiles. One of the first upgrades you want to get for any mech that you pilot are double heat sinks, and that increases the heat dispersion, its reduction. So that's really important. I believe that is 1.5 million C-bills. So a little pricey, but it is the first thing you want to get. Structure, you can upgrade to Endosteel, and that is a lighter structure, and I believe it is based on per tonnage, so the heavier the mech, the more expensive it is. But that's a very good upgrade. And the armor type, you have the ferrofibrous, and that takes up more space in the actual loadout, but it does provide more armor per point. Depending on your loadout, you may not be able to get all of these upgrades on a single mech. If you have to choose between the Endosteel or the ferrofibrous in terms of weight saving, always go with the Endosteel. It just does better. You'll also see over at the top right where it talks about its speed and its jump distance. Obviously the Hunchback does not have jump jets, so they're is no jump distance, but some may have it, and that is something you want to look at to see if it is capable of jump jetting. You'll see what current engine it has, and that's a 200, and its max engine is a 275. So that's also really important to give you an idea of what its current speed is with its current engine, and then what it can upgrade to, and that gives you a pretty good idea of what you're looking at in terms of additional speed. Now you'll see it has a quirks summary there on the left, and then sort of that teal text. This is you'll find this on a variety of mechs, and what this does, I believe, this is an update they added some months ago, and you'll notice it has different bonuses. In some cases, they may actually be a negative, and that'll be in a red text, but primarily they're positive bonuses to something specific. So you'll see here the Hunchback. It has additional armor and structure in its right torso, where that big autocannon is typically housed. And it has an increased turn rate for its pitch and its yaw. It's extremely awesome, especially that yaw turn rate is fantastic. And you'll notice that it's definitely geared for ballistics and AC-20 specifically, and plus it has some bonuses to energy. And that's clearly what the mech was designed for, and it has quirks to boost it even further. So you can typically get a little bit more out of a mech if you fit it to the quirks, because it does provide you a pretty nice bonus. Now, something else you're going to want to look at, and that is over on that kind of bottom right-hand corner. You'll see the pitch angle and the yaw angle. Now, these are extremely important, especially if you're looking at a quick skirmishing type mech, kind of like a Hunchback, because that's going to give you an idea of how well it can move vertically with its pitch and its yaw, and that's going to give you an idea of kind of the horizontal plane you can traverse. Now you'll notice that you have two different speeds for that with the degrees. You have your torso and you have your arms, and so you see there, obviously with arms you can traverse the horizontal and the vertical plane very, very well. So if you kind of look at those numbers in the bottom right hand corner, for instance, the pitch speed is 234 and the yaw speed is 234 degrees a second, so it's very quick. But let's take a look at, say, a Blackjack. Blackjack, you'll notice, has these really stubby little arm pods. It does not actually have movable arms like a Hunchback, and so we can see there at the bottom right hand corner its pitch angle and its yaw is nowhere near as wide as the Hunchback. So this kind of gives you an idea when you're looking at a mech, especially if you're looking at a skirmisher, these things with these little arm pods, you're going to have to keep your entire torso focused on the enemy as you're firing, and that can leave more time on target. Whereas with a Hunchback or anything with arms, anything those arms have a greater degree of movement. So it's just something to keep in mind when you are selecting a mech, and that applies for lights, heavies, assaults, whatever type of role you want to play. But those are some of the real basics you want to look at when you choose a mech. Obviously, the C-bill cost is something you want to take a peek at as well. So like I said, you're going to start off, if you do the tutorial, and when you're doing your trial mech drops with your cadet bonus, you're going to earn quite a bit. I would definitely say keep with your trials until you really find something you like. Don't go off and just spend the C-bills because you have them. If you buy something and it turns out you don't like it, again, you're not going to have such a great time. Now, the real importance with choosing a mech is not just for how it feels and how it performs, but you have these things called skills. And so again, let's look at the mediums, let's look at the Hunchbacks, and we're going to take a look at my little 4G here. Okay, so you have in these here a basic, elite, and a master tier slot for the different skills. Now each of these provide a bonus, and you get XP to unlock these just by running standard matches. Now I'll actually get to a mech that I've not used so you can kind of see what they look like. I'll open up this Griffin here. Okay, so we have Cool Run, and you'll see that increased heat dissipation by 7.5%, and so on and so forth. They give different bonuses to the different attributes: heat containment, how quickly you can turn and pitch, and things of that nature. Now, to unlock the elite status, which is really important, elite status has your speed tweak, which gives you a 10% overall speed bonus, And this is good for running any sort of light mech, medium mech, and can really get you a lot of speed. It can also allow you to dial back the engine while keeping the same speed that you like, and maybe freeing up a little extra space. However, the really cool thing is that when you unlock the elite tier, you get a modifier to all your stuff in the basic tier, and it doubles whatever bonus those basic tiers were applying. However, to get to the elite, you have to have 3 mechs in that chassis of unlocked and basic. So if you're looking at a mech and you go, oh hey, this one particular Griffin looks really cool, I don't like these other ones, to really fully effectively use, say, this Griffin as an example, you'd need to get another 3, or another 2 rather, and you'd have to sit there and upgrade them all. And so when you choose a mech, you don't want to be choosing just a singular one. You kind of will look at the chassis as a whole and see if the other ones are going to be fun for you to upgrade as well, to really get the most out of your mechs. So that's pretty much a very extremely basic look at the mechs themselves as to what you want to choose and how to choose. Really the best way is just to keep dropping and trying out different mechs and seeing how they feel, and eventually you will find one that really suits your play style. And then once you really get that kind of hammered home, the game's a lot of fun. Alright, I hope you guys found this at all useful.